Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to talk about the saxophone mouthpiece. So if you're a beginner, it's very important to pick out your mouthpiece because guess what? That's going to control how much pressure is on your embouchure. And as a beginner, you don't want a lot of pressure on your embouchure because, man, it makes those muscles really tense, right? And you don't want to get tired because you want them to develop and you want your sound to get better. So here's some tips. I have a few mouthpieces up here so that way you can see. Now when you first get a mouthpiece, first of all, you're going to have to pick some reeds and you have to identify that this is the reed, this is the part of the mouthpiece, and this is the ligature. Alright? Now, once they're assembled, you notice that there's the distance between the reed right here and the mouthpiece. That's where we give a little bit of give. Now, that varies between mouthpieces. So if you're playing and say you have a strong reed and there's not much give right here, then you're going to have more straight tones and it's going to be a lot tougher on your mouthpiece. I mean, it's going to be a lot tougher on your embouchure, but you'll see that you'll have it'll be easier to hit straight tones and your notes won't play as much when you put a lot of pressure or relieve the pressure on your embouchure. Now, if you can see in comparison to this one, where this has a lot of space in between the reed and the mouthpiece, you see I'm opening and closing it right here in between, the little space right here. It's a lot bigger than this one right here, which is a little bit smaller. And what that does is as I'm playing and I put pressure, I have that much room to maneuver in between notes, if I want to bend notes, if I want to make notes fall, if I want to dip notes. So it depends on the type of player you want to be. But as a beginner, you want a mouthpiece, you know, your standard mouthpiece and a lighter reed, so that way your muscles don't get as tired when you're practicing. Now what'll happen is you want stronger reeds once your embouchure and your muscles get developed, so that way your tone gets a little bit better. So with the stronger reed, you get better tone, but then your embouchure works out a little bit more. All right. So keep that in mind as you're playing. There are different cut reeds. Some reeds are cut for beginners because once you wet them or you put them in your mouth, they get soft really fast. Other reeds that we have, once you put them in your mouth, they loosen up, but once they dry up again, they firm a little bit more than they would as wet reeds. So the reed is very important because some of them are meant to play just once and some of them are meant to be used over and over again. So keep that in mind as you're playing. Now, like I said, if you're picking a new mouthpiece up, right, and you see that there's a lot of play like this one I was showing you, if there's a lot of play here, don't be shy to use a lighter reed. It's not a challenge, it's not a competition who can use the strongest reed, because what happens is your muscles get tired because there's so much space and you have this much to bite down on, versus if you had a tough reed on this mouthpiece, you can still maneuver or you can still maintain to put pressure on it, and it won't be as tiring on it because of the space in between the mouthpiece and the reed. So keep that in mind as you're playing and as you're experimenting with your sounds, and if you're, as you're playing your instrument and developing your tone and stuff like that, because that can be frustrating if you can't hear what you're trying to do. Another thing is with the mouthpiece, be careful not to do this. Don't stick your chin out like that, because what'll happen, it's just bad technique. All right, you want to make sure that it's relaxed and you have a comfortable ooh sound, ooh or oh, ooh, depending on what kind of saxophone, tenor, alto, soprano. So right now we use the ooh sound and ooh, and what happens is you put the mouthpiece right here on your lip and you just blow, or you put your teeth on top. And you see I'm moving my mouthpiece around. So be aware that when you move your mouthpiece around, that fluctuates the embouchure. So that's a thing that you want to be aware of. Don't do that I'm just showing you how to do it right, or do it wrong. If you want to do it right, just keep it straight. All right, don't play like this. Because as you can see, the slightest little movement would change it. All right, so just a little insight or a little bit of information about the mouthpieces. Hope it helps you out. Like, subscribe, right down below.